Yeah, hi, welcome everyone. So actually, I was waiting for others to join, but no problem. I could see that most of the people are in, so we could start with our session. Just give me only one moment. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, I hope that everyone could see my screen. My screen is visible.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah, thank you so much. So just giving you a very basic, yeah, thank you for the confirmation. So let's start. Let's begin with the second day with the Azure. Okay. So in this, we will be covering today. So that is the agenda of the today's session. Today, I will be covering this service, Microsoft Entra ID, and we will be covering this users group creation, and we will be understanding the other options as well. So self-service password reset, authentication options, AD Connect, MFA, we will be understanding all this. And if time permits, definitely I will be starting with this resource subscription management group, conditional policies. So I will discuss all that.
Hello. Good evening, Tanya madam.
Yes. Yes.
Have you started anything? I have just joined right now only.
No, 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 no. No,
Okay.
I have not started with this. I was just setting the agenda of the session.
Okay. Go ahead, go ahead.
So I'm just giving you a very brief recap of the previous session. If someone has missed out the previous session, so I'm requesting everyone to kindly go through the recordings. In the previous session, we have just only discussed with the basics of the cloud computing. So if someone is joining on the today, as if someone has missed the day one content, please go through the recordings. So it is just all about the basics of the cloud computing. We have discussed about the benefits. Then we have discussed about the different benefits like highly availability, predictability, manageability, security, governance, scalability, agility. Then we have discussed the different type of the clouds we have discussed. Okay, public, private, hybrid. Then we have discussed the different type of the cloud models. We have discussed the different type of the cloud models, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and we have also discussed software as a service. Then in the very end, we close the session with the shared responsibility model. With the shared responsibility model. Now let's get started. Let's get started. So that was the basic concepts of the cloud computing. Now on this, actually, Azure, we will be starting on the day two. That means today we will be starting with the Azure journey itself. Now, in the Microsoft Azure, we will be understanding the different services, right? We will be understanding the different services for computing, for our networking, for our storage, for our IAM. Okay, so we will be discussing all that, DevOps as well. But today I will be starting with the IAM part. So let me start with the very basics of IAM, and then we will be proceeding with the computing followed by the networking, storage, and in the very end, we will be talking about the DevOps part. We will also be considering other services like security and all that. But let's begin with the IAM service. So IAM is nothing. IAM is my identity and access management. Identity and access management. Now, in this identity and access management, why this is required, and in short, it is referred to as IAM.
Can we, sorry
It's,
to interrupt here.
I'm
So in the
sorry.
previous,
Hmm.
sorry to interrupt here. So in the previous class, we have just seen the half of the things. So in the next class, you told us that we would set up the Azure portal.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I will be covering that part as well, sir.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, I will be covering. Okay, so let me show first if you want that. Actually, I planned to show on the last, but that's completely fine. So I'm taking my personal email ID. I have already logged into the Azure portal. So what you have to log in, you have to write this portal.azure.com. So this is the login page for Azure portal. So I have already logged in with my MCT ID. So what I will be showing you, I will be showing you that complete on the, let me take on the private window. So first of all, if you are working on the day one, okay, if you are not familiar with Azure, if you are a very beginner, so you have to create an account, right? You have to create an Azure account. So you could simply search, you could simply Google it, Azure sign up, Azure sign up. So you could simply redirect to this link, or maybe the first link which is coming up to you. So for example, if I go to the link one, now it will help you to create a free tier account. So this will be a free tier account in the Azure. It will be providing me the $200. Okay. So that $200 will be credited, but you could consume only $200 for the first month only. After this first month, you will be having access to the free resources, only to the free services. So there will be some limitations with this free tier account, but for the testing part, for the as a beginner part, I don't think that you will be facing any issues, because you could simply go with this Azure environment. You could simply understand with your Azure free tier account, because in the free tier account, Microsoft is also providing you the most popular services, whatever is required. So they will be providing you this 200 credit. It is only available for the first month. After this first month, you will be only accessible to the free services. Okay. There are other options as well. You could go with pay as you go pricing, but I don't recommend, because in that case, what will happen? See, because you will need to pay for whatever the services you will be using. Now, just assume that you have not stopped your resources, you have not deactivated your resources, you keep your resources running, then you will be charged. There will be billing in this part. So don't go for this. At least in the beginner stage, don't go with this pay as you go. So then you have to pay for this. Monthly charges will be there. So there will be invoice which will be generated, and it will be linked with your email ID, but you need to pay this. So always go with this USD as your free tier account. Now in this as your free tier account, so just click on this. I'm also sharing the link in the chat, and I will also keeping this link in the whiteboard as well. So later on, you could also refer to this for the sign up process. Sign up process is simple. Okay, so you have to sign up. You have to create an account with your with your personal account. So better is to go with the Outlook or with your Microsoft account, with your Hotmail account. In case you could also go with your Gmail account as well. So you have to create a new Microsoft account. Okay. Mm, I need to check whether any Microsoft account or else what you have to do, you have to create a new account. So you could create a new account. Okay. So you could also take your Gmail IDs as well. You could also take your Gmail IDs as well. And stop sharing my screen for a while. Let me authenticate, then I will be sharing the screen. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So in this way, you will be getting your verification on your email address. You need to verify. Okay, so it will be asking you for a few more details. Okay. Okay, you have to solve the puzzle as well. Okay, so once you are completing this, after this, you have to complete the sign up process. Okay, in the sign up process, once you do all that things for you, so let me show you. Phone number is not mandatory. Company name. Let me take this. Mm, Okay, what else is required? Phone number is required. Okay. I'm just providing some random number, right? Some random number I will.
You need
Okay,
to
I'm
verify
stop
your
sharing.
number, only then it will allow.
Yeah, yeah. I have stopped sharing my screen for a while. Just give me only 1 minute. Just give me a moment. I'm putting a verification code. Okay. See. No verification code was received. Let me do this again. Now I have received. Just only one more moment. Okay, I'm sharing the screen. It's also asking for the postal code as well. Okay, so once you're done with this sign up process, then just only one step away. Okay, you have to provide your identity verification by your card. So you could go with your debit card, or you could go with your credit card as well. But nowadays, Microsoft is also accepting your debit card. So only 2 rupees will be deducting. Okay, so only a deduction will be 2 rupees. Even that will be refunded as well. You have to provide your credit card number or your debit card, so there will be no auto deductions. There will be no auto deductions. So don't worry about this. You could easily sign up this for this. Okay. So once you complete this sign up process, then you will be getting this 200 USD in your account. With 200 USD, at least for this, for first 1 month, you will be able to provision your services which will be costing you. And after this 1 month, you will be only able to access the free services. So there will be some limitations, but as a beginner, that will be sufficient. So this is the way you have to create your Azure account. In the similar way, you have to approach with the other cloud providers as well, and like in the AWS, like in the GCP. But there is a difference in the AWS. They are not crediting any amount. They are not providing this credit like 100 or 200 USD. So instead, they will be just only giving you the access to the free services. In the GCP, you will be getting $300 for and that will be available for 3 months. So that is with the different cloud providers, but in this way you have to proceed and you have to create your Azure free tier account. Now let me come back to this. Okay, so coming back to this identity and access management. So anyone who has already worked with this identity and access management service, you know what is the service we are using in Azure? No one? What service we are using for this?
Is
I
it
am.
Active Directory?
Please come again.
Active Directory?
Active Directory, Azure Active Directory. So previously it was known as Azure Active Directory, but now they have replaced this with Microsoft Entra ID. So no issues. I request everyone to please keep yourself on mute. Thank you so much. Okay. Now in this identity and access management, so actually why we are using this service, there are two main reasons behind this. First is the authentication, and second is the authorization. First is the authentication, and second is the authorization. Now, authentication is simply when you are proving who are you, your identity. So you are proving your identity, who you. In the authorization, this is my level of access, the privileges, the access which it is providing to access the different resources which are hosted on the cloud. Now, if I give you the simple layman example, in the authentication, for example, if you are going to your office and you have to prove your identity, maybe you are doing this with the help of the ID card which is provided by your company, your organization, or with the biometrics, you are doing this. And coming to the authorization, now just assume that you have shown your ID card to the security guard, then you have already settled in your office. Now, again, you don't have authorization, you don't have access to all the resources. For example, there are different web servers. As a simple example, in your organization, you will be having some hardware setup. If you are having some hardware setup and they will be having some rack of servers. So are you able to enter in this server room? No. So only the system administrators, only the persons from the administration team, they could only having the privileges to enter this, to enter into this room. There will be different applications, right? So you just only having access to your own laptop, you will be only having access to your own laptop, your own devices. Are you able to access all the devices which are present in your organization? No. So are you able to access all the applications? So we can't access all the devices. We can't access all the devices. We can't access all the applications. Just giving you a simple example, your organization have hosted multiple applications. So one application is for HR specifically, one application is for the finance, one application is for the admin or something like that. So are you able to access this finance application? No, they will not be providing you that level of the access. Or for the HR, you could only view your profile data which is related to your profile, and you could only perform the operations which are related, whatever the access is provided, you could only do that activities. But depending on the access, depending on the level of the access, you could operate on the applications, you could operate on the devices. So this is all about the authorization. Now, your service identity and access management, this is responsible for the authentication and authorization. The very first thing is, when you will be creating an Azure account, when you will be creating an Azure account, so that was our first step, right? Creating an Azure account. So I have shown you that how to create the Azure free tier account. I have provided you that as well. Now let me go back to my personal account. Okay, so actually this is not my personal account. This is my MSDN subscription. I will come to this word subscription. I will explain each and every pointer. But now you just only look at my So this is my Azure account. And if you could see that this will be only providing to the MCT trainers, because I am a MCT trainer. So you will be able to see the different type of the subscription. So this is MSDN subscription. It is only provided to the Microsoft certified trainers, and they will be providing, yeah, so they will be providing us every month, they will be crediting $100 into our account. So you will not be able to see that subscription because this is only for the trainers, for the Microsoft certified trainers. And now you could see that this is my default directory. So I will explain all that concepts and everything I will be explaining to you. Now, what is the service which we will be using for identity and access management? So this is the service Microsoft Entra ID. Microsoft Entra ID. If you go to this Microsoft Entra ID and we will be exploring all the options in the left navigation pane. So one by one, we will be exploring all the options. Now, if I show you at the very overview of this navigation pane, so you could see the basic information. This is my default directory, and they have provided some tenant ID. The tenant ID will be unique. Now, at this point of moment, you will not be able to understand what is this tenant and what is all that. I will come to this. Just give me some time. I will explain each and everything. Now you just look at this primary domain. Okay. So let me just copy this primary domain. And these are the list of some users, some groups, some applications which I have hosted on this, which I have registered that application in Azure. I will be explaining each and everything. And this is the license, Microsoft Entra ID free. See, so whenever we will be creating our account, Microsoft is providing. So Microsoft is providing this primary domain to us. And what is the domain? For everyone, this domain will be similar. This will be same for everyone. Dot on Microsoft.com. So this is the Microsoft domain. This is the Microsoft domain. And this is the my Gmail ID with which I have created this Azure account. Okay, because this ID is related with my MCT credentials. So I have provided the same ID in order to create that MSDN subscription, that account. Now, once you create an Azure account, so they will be providing you this complete primary domain. Now, the organizations could customize this. The organizations could customize the domain. So, for example, the big organizations, you have already seen that they when they are when they are hosting on this cloud providers, they are setting up with their own domain. So they are not going with this dot on Microsoft.com, because this is the basic thing. This is the basic domain which Microsoft is providing. You could customize your domain. For example, Infosys.com, or maybe some other big examples. I could take that. So you could take in this way. They are customizing their own domain, but they have to register that domain. So Microsoft is not a domain registrar. Microsoft is not a domain registrar. You have to register, you have to purchase the domain from the domain registrars. That was a different concept, but yes. So you have to buy from this. GoDaddy is an example. Hostinger is there. So there are so many sites, there are so many domain registrars applications which are providing you the domains, registered domains. So you have to pay for this. That was a separate thing, but I'm just providing you the basic concept. Once you do all that things, Microsoft will be providing you the tenant ID, subscription ID, subscription ID. Okay, so they will be providing you each and everything. Now I will explain what is the tenant ID and all that. But first of all, you should understand the basic concept. What is this authentication and authorization, and how actually we used to do this. Now see, when an organization is creating an account, okay, or maybe an organization is already having their on-prem setup. Now, they want to migrate to the cloud providers on the Microsoft Azure. So once they will be creating the account, so what Microsoft will do, just only after creating this account, that will not work. That will not work. So you have to take one subscription as well. With the Azure free tier account, that was my subscription, free tier account. But there are different subscriptions for the different enterprise agreements as well. for the resellers, for the partners. We will discuss the type of the subscription. Student ID is also there. There are so many type of the subscription. In my case, you have seen that MSDN is also one type of the subscription. So what do you understand by the subscription? Subscription is creating an account is not sufficient. It's not sufficient to access the resources on the cloud, because I told you from the day one, on the cloud nothing is free. You have to pay for the resources. You have to pay. There will be a cost. There will be a billing. So how you are going to pay? How you are going to pay for your resources, whatever you have consumed? So you will be paying with the help of this subscription. So subscription is nothing. Subscription will be generating by all the invoices. Okay, so there will be different concept. There will be some resource quotas as well. So all the billing will be done with the help of this subscription. So once any account will be created by organization. So obviously, when you are creating some account, inside this account, what Microsoft will do, they will be creating a one tenant for you. They will be creating a one tenant for you, or you could also term this, you could also refer this as a directory. You could also refer this as a directory. Okay, so this is a completely isolated environment which Microsoft is providing you. So by default, when your account was created, one tenant will be created for you. Just like in the case of the apartments, like in the apartments, you are renting something. So that means you are renting a flat, you will be a tenant, but you will be using, there will be a complete security. So you could access the common services. For example, you could access the gym, you could access the pool in your hosted, rented apartment. So in your flat, you will be using all the services, but you are billing for that, you are billed for that, and you will be paying for this. So whatever the electricity consumption, so you will be getting charged. If you are renting, if you are on a rent, you will be paying to your owner. So in the similar way, you have to pay to your cloud provider, because you are a tenant there. You are a tenant there. So from this tenant real time analogy, they have just taken this word tenant. So you are a tenant in the cloud provider, but there will be a security, obviously. So could you think that someone could just enter into your house without any security issues will be there? No, obviously, because if you're in the apartment, so someone is there who will be protecting. So maybe some security guards at the very entrance of the apartments. You have security locks as well. So no one could enter without your permission. So this will be a complete secure option in the case of cloud providers as well. And it is providing you the complete isolation, the completely isolation. So if I give you some analogy in the layman example, on your floor as well, there will be different flats. For example, 2 flats, 3 flats, 4 flats. Now everyone is living in his or her own space. So it will be completely isolated. Are you going to share your washroom with the another person who is living next to your door, who is living in the next flat? No, you will be having your own resources, and the next person who is living next to your flat, he will be having its own resources. He will be having its own kitchen. He will be having its own master bedroom. All other resources he will be having. So that means there will be a different isolation. No one could access the resources without entering this part, And no one is allowed to access without any authentication, without any authorization. So the very first thing, what you have to do when you are creating an account, so obviously you have to create a subscription. You have to create a subscription. You have to buy a subscription. Otherwise, Microsoft or any of the cloud provider, they will not be providing access to their resources. Then a tenant or the directory will be created. Inside this tenant or the directory, then you could go with the multiple resources. You could host your multiple resources. So by default, the organizations will be having one tenant, but you could go with the multiple tenants as well. You could go with multiple tenants. We'll discuss. I will come to that part as well. So what are the different type of the tenants which you could host inside your default directory, inside your default tenant, and all these are logically isolated, right? So this is my default one. This is my default one for the organization. And the other is B2B, business to business, business to business. Then it will be business to customers or business to clients, B2C, B2C. So I will come back to this and I will discuss the use case and the scenarios for this. Actually, this business to business, why we are using this tenants. So for example, in my default organization, now the very first thing is when this tenant will be created. So obviously there will be user identities you have to create. How do you provide the access to your employees of your organization? So you have to create this identity, right? So everyone will be having their own credentials. Everyone will be having their own set of users, username and password. So user identity is nothing. It is just your user identity, your password and the credentials in order to log in order to access to the resources. You could create the groups as well. We will come to this point, groups as well. And then you could host the resources. You could provision the resources, right? In your default directory. So my default organization is my my own organization resources. Now, what is the requirement of this business to business? Business to business will be mostly going on when your company will be having some mergers or some vendors when they want to uh, collaborate with the external users. So business to business use case will be only, for example, when one of the organization, for example, he want to collaborate or he want to invite some guest users, he want to work with some external partners, with some vendors, with some suppliers which are not from your organization, which are not from your organization, but you have to give access to the resources which are hosted on the cloud. You want to give access to the resources which are hosted on the cloud, but as a security part, you don't want to give access to the complete tenant directory, to the default directory. So what you want, that you want that you could also invite the guest users. You could also invite the guest users as well. So with their own credentials, they will be able to access the resources depending on the permissions, depending on the authorization level which you have provided. So it is mostly used, business to business will be used in the case of external identities, or when you want to have some collaboration, okay, or you want to provide some administrative control you want to have. Okay, so whatever your primary focus will be on the default resources, in order to protect, in order to just secure all that things, you want to host all that in the business to business. And the third thing is, mostly it is used in the mergers and in the acquisitions. So, for example, some company has a merger with a new company, and they have some acquisition over the existing company. Then, in that case, they will be having access to their default directory as well. So they could invite their users in this business to business. Okay. So this is also adding your cross organization collaboration. Cross organization collaboration. Now, what I mean by this cross organization collaboration, for example, you are working on your client projects, right? You are working for your client companies, and you want to collaborate on some documents, on some resources, so maybe which are shared in the shared point. Now you don't want to host all that in your default directory, so you could do this in your B2B. So this is for the secure access to the internal applications for the partners. Okay. And you could also design some permissions and all that. You could customize all that things. Now coming to this business to clients or business to consumer, you could also use this as a word, business to consumer. So most appropriate is business to consumer. You could also use this as. Now in this, what is this the use case? This will be used for customer facing application, for customer facing applications. Now, what I mean by this customer facing applications, now, whenever you will be registering, whenever you will be hosting your applications, so obviously you need to manage the users. You need to manage how the end users, how the customers will interact with your applications. So obviously you will not be giving access to your default directory, because on my default directory organization sensitive data will be there, all by the privacy by for the privacy purpose, by the security purpose, for the compliance issues, for the regulatory legal issues. I don't want to give access to my default directory to anyone, to my mergers company, to my client based company, or to my customer facing applications. So what you could do for the applications, you could register your applications in the B2C, business to consumer, and it will be providing you the customer identities. So users could create the identities. So they could also do the sign up. They could also do the sign up or sign in with the help of existing identities like Facebook, Google, or custom email accounts as well. So I will discuss at the time of application management. And they could, all this will be acting as a self-service management. This will be acting as a self-service management. So customers can sign up, they can sign in, they can manage their profiles. They can manage their profiles. They can do the sign up, sign in, everything they could do without any administrative involvement. Without any administrative involvement. So if I give you the use case, the e-commerce applications which are hosted on the Azure platform. So you want to manage the customer accounts, their profiles, you could use that B2C, and it is providing you the complete customer portal. So where the customers can view their bills, they can manage their accounts, they can report their issues, all that things they could do. Okay, so social login will be also there. They could log in with their accounts, with their existing accounts as well. So there will be different identity provider, so which allows you to access with your own application, with your own credentials as well, other than this Microsoft ID. Now coming back to this concept of the tenants. Okay, so in this, what we have understood, I am summarizing each and everything now for you. Whenever you will be creating an account, by default, one tenant, one directory will be created for you, and unique tenant ID, unique directory ID will be provided to you. Inside this, you could create your user identities. You could also create your groups. The concept of the groups is nothing. For example, there will be a developer group, there will be an DevOps team, there will be a different team, there will be different environments. Now you want to control the permissions. For example, some on one of my project, there will be 3 to 4 members which are already working on this, and I want to give access to all 3 to 4 members. Now, are you going to provide one by one? Is it feasible? No, we are not going to provide the individual permissions and the access. So what I do, I will create a group just like a WhatsApp group, like, huh? So you are creating your WhatsApp group for your for the different purpose. For example, nowadays we are creating the groups for the job hunting process. We are creating the groups for there are different communities we are adding. Okay, so there is a simple group which you could control, which you could customize, and you could provide some access and the permissions. So there are different types of the groups that we will also discuss in some time. But then we have discussed that there could be B2B and B2C. Okay, so there could be multiple tenants, but normally for one organization, there will be only one default tenant. Okay, one default tenant or one default directory. Now coming back to this, so there are other concepts as well, type of the subscription, resources, management groups. We'll discuss later on. We'll discuss after this time. Let me also write it here as so under this tenant, you could create your resources, multiple resources. For example, my virtual machine, Azure virtual machine, my Azure storage account, SQL servers. Okay, you could create multiple resources in your tenant directory, but we will understand. We'll understand in some time. Now let me go back. Are we clear up to this point? Any questions so far?
Clear.
Okay.
Clear.
So this ID, this is known as Microsoft Entra ID. So Microsoft Entra ID is the service which will be completely responsible for our authentication and authorization. Apart from this user identities and all that, it will be having multiple functionalities. So you could register your devices. Okay, you as an admin, you have to control the devices of your employees. You have to control the organization, laptops and all that. So all the access control, whatever the things will be there, conditional policies can be done, can be controlled with the help of this Microsoft Entra ID. So previously it was known as Azure Active Directory. Previously it was known as Azure Active Directory, but from past 1 year, they have changed this from Azure Active Directory to the Microsoft Entra ID. And from where this concept has been taken, from where this name has been taken, this has been taken from the Active Directory. So Active Directory is on-prem. This will be Active Directory exists on my on-prem data centers. So on-prem means where an organization will be having their complete own setup. So obviously they're on their own setup. They have to use some service. They will be using some service for the authentication, for the authorization as well. So authentication and authorization is not only required for the users, it also required for the devices as well. Okay, it also requires for the applications as well. So don't think that authentication is only required for your users. Authentication is required for everything. For example, there are some application who want to access my resources. There is one application which I have hosted and it want to access the SQL server. So it has to prove its identity. Otherwise, I will not be able to access the data from my backend. So these are some detailed concepts. We will understand this. So authentication is required for everywhere, for users, for group, for devices, for client applications. So Microsoft Entra ID is responsible for all the authentication and authorizations to all these. Now, on the on-prem, so what do you think that on-prem, there was also some of the service or resource which will be doing this authentication and authorization. So on the on-prem, there was a Windows server. There was a Windows server, and it is also known as domain. Okay, so what it will be doing, the domain server, this is responsible and this is named as Active Directory. So on the on-prem, what they do, they will be taking, deploying, provisioning one Windows server, and on top of that, they will be using this Active Directory service. Actually, they have named this as an Active Directory. So it will be providing the domain, and it will be all that devices and all that whatever you want to host, that will be in the same network, right? So there will be some devices, okay, that will be in the same network. So they will be providing the user identities to all these client applications, to the users, to the devices, to all that things, they will be providing the identity. So in the on-prem scenario, Windows Server is responsible for this authentication and authorization, and it was named as Active Directory. So the same concept was taken on the Microsoft Azure. Microsoft has provided the same name to its service, just only they have added this Azure Active Directory. So please don't get confused, but because sometimes interviewers want to confuse you, they will be asking, so what is this always used? I suggest you to always go with the latest one. Okay, so whatever is the current technical terms, you should always go with this. Don't use this term as your Active Directory. Or some people used to refer, but this is not a recommended one. And please don't use this word Active Directory, because when you use this term Active Directory, it will refer to your Windows server, to your on-prem server, because right now we are only talking about Microsoft Azure. We are not understanding our Windows server. And if you are interested in this Windows server, this is a different certification which is completely into the Windows domain. This is on-prem, and Azure is providing that certifications AZ 800 and AZ 10. So this is all about the Windows administration. Windows administration. So that was the different concept, but I just want to explain it here. Now, coming back to the slide deck, let me first give you some examples. So we will be understanding all this. First of all, let me explain this Microsoft Entra ID, and we will be explaining all that other sub topics as well. So let's try to explain. Now, this image is exactly showing you the working of Active Directory and the Microsoft Entra ID. So one side you could see that there is on-prem, and the other side you could see that this is my Microsoft Entra ID. This is my Microsoft Entra ID. So if you could see that this is my Windows Server Active Directory, it is on the on-prem. Okay. Now, there it will be using the different protocols for the authentication and for the authorization. So in their setup, they will be using Kerberos, they will be using NTLM. So NTLM is my Windows New Technology LAN Manager. So actually, whatever is in their local network, whatever is in their network, they will be having all these devices, or the users or the applications, they will be having access to the resources which are hosted on their on-prem infrastructure. Okay, but in the similar way on the Azure, if I want to give access to the resources, so some protocols are required for the authentication and for the authorization. Now, so they will be using this for the authentication, Kerberos and MTLM, they will be using. On the Azure side, we are using the SAML. SAML will be used. This is security assertion markup language. So we will be using this OAuth. OAuth is my open authorization. Open authorization. So all these protocols we are using for the authentication. We are using this protocol for the authentication of the users. Now, there will be OpenID as well. So OpenID is also used for the authentication as well. They will be using some different protocols. Okay, so federation protocol is also used. I will explain the concept of this federation protocol as well. So, for example, you want to have access to the software as a service, all the products you are using the software as a service resources. So there will be different Microsoft products as well, or the different services which you are using, Office 365 or Azure resources, Azure applications. So with the help of this federation protocol, so it will allow the single sign-on, single sign-on. Now, what does the single sign-on will do? Single sign-on means, for example, just giving you a basic layman example, if you're having access to your office different applications, in your office different application, different resources are there. So are you doing the sign up process every time for every application? For example, there is, you are using Microsoft Teams, you are using Kika application, or maybe some other application. You will be using some other e-commerce application, or whatever the internal applications you have been using. So are you using the different username and the passwords for all that? Are you doing the sign up process every time you are doing the sign up process for each access? No. With the help of the single sign in, with the help of single credentials, you will be able to prove your identity. So that will be that IAM service will do, that Microsoft Entra ID will do. So what they will do, they will be storing that, they will be providing you the access with the help of this single credential. So with the help of this single sign-on, you will be able to access. And now one more thing is, with the help of federation protocols, it's also providing you the identity with the help of the different identity providers. So for example, I want to log in with my Gmail ID. I want to log in to the application which is hosted in Azure. I want to log in with my Twitter ID. I want to log in with my Facebook ID, with my Microsoft ID. So what do you think? Because normally when you are accessing any application, any e-commerce application, Netflix you are using Zoom application, you are using so many applications, so they will provide you that access. You could go with any of your IDs, existing IDs. So what do you think, where are they providing, are they requesting the access to create your email ID? So actually, who will be responsible for this authentication purpose? Who will be responsible for this authentication? Because you are not doing the sign up process, you are not creating your own identity on the Microsoft Azure cloud. So who's doing the authentication process for you? So at that time, there will be the role of identity provider, and this will be completely customized. This will be completely, settings will be done in the B2C tenant when they will be hosting the application. So what administrator will do, administrators will be also providing this option, identity provider. So every time if you logged in with some other email IDs, the request will be going to this the request will be going to their identities. So for example, you are logged in with the Gmail ID in order to access my application. So what it will do, the federation protocol, they will be sending the request for this authentication part, because they have to verify this authentication credentials. They have to verify the login credentials. So they will be verifying, they will be sending the request back to the Gmail. Okay, so once this credentials will be verified, once this verified successful, it is successful, then again it will be redirecting me back to my credentials. It will access, it will allow me to access with these credentials. So federation protocol, it will allow you to access with your own identities, with your existing IDs. Apart from this, so it's not possible for every time you are creating the user identities on the Microsoft Azure. So it's not possible. At that time, you could use that option. So federation protocol will be responsible for that. And one more thing, for example, some organization is completely diverting, or they will be doing a transitioning from their on-prem setup to the cloud setup. So already existing user identities are already there. So they have already having their own identities which are created on this Microsoft Windows server. Now, are they going to create the new set of identities for the Microsoft Azure? No. So what they will be doing, they will be synchronizing. They want to synchronize the on-prem Active Directory with the Microsoft Entra ID. So with the help of this option, so there is one more option, Microsoft Entra ID Connect. Microsoft Entra ID Connect. So what this option will do, it will synchronize all the user identities which are created in the on-prem, and it will automatically transit to my Microsoft Azure cloud. So for example, someone who want to have some access with the previous existing ID on the on-prem, they could do the complete sign-in process. They will be having access to the resources on the Microsoft cloud as well. So with the help of this, you have to enable this option. After this, all the identities will be in the sync with the on-prem and with the cloud. So the users with the same credentials, they can access the resources on both sides, on the Windows Server Active Directory, on the cloud as well. So Microsoft Entra ID is very, very important service. It is a very critical service of Azure. Okay, and it provides you the safe, secure access to the resources for the organizations. So it is completely responsible for your application management, your authentication, your device management, your hybrid and identity. So you could create your users, you could create your groups, you could provision, deprovision the users, you could monitor the sign in, you could enable the multi-factor authentication, you could extend this on-prem to the cloud, you could integrate with the other third-party tools like different SaaS products or SaaS applications. You could access, you could configure the conditional access for the users and for the devices as well. So there are multiple things which Azure Microsoft Entra ID is doing. In the similar way, whatever is performing by the Windows Server Active Directory. The only difference is it is in the on-prem and Microsoft Entra ID is on the cloud. Now, coming to the concepts, we have already understood these concepts, right? Identity. So what is this identity? Identity is very important for the authentication. So when you are creating your account, so automatically it will be taking your identity. For example, your Gmail ID, your Microsoft ID. So that will be your identity. Then account will be created. So account, in the account, obviously there will be some data inside this. Okay, this is my Microsoft account. Now this account will be created through this Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID. Tenant or directory. So this is trusted and the dedicated instance of my Azure Active Directory. So tenant will be automatically created when your organization sign up for your Microsoft Cloud Service subscription, and its additional instance of the Azure Active Directory can also be created. So I have discussed all that. You could go for multiple tenants, right? You could use either the word tenant or the directory. So tenant is nothing. Tenant is my single instance. And this is representing my single organization. And what is my subscription? Subscription is for the billing part. When you want to pay for your resources, so you have to do the billing, you have to pay. So you will be paying for the subscription. Now, this is a quick comparison, okay, to the Azure Active Directory. So Microsoft Entra ID, both are the identity solutions, right? Both are the IAM services. So this is designed for HTTP and HTTPS communications as well. And in the Microsoft, in this Azure Active Directory on the on-prem, you could use the LDAP. Okay, but in the Azure, in the Microsoft Entra ID, you will be using the REST API calls that will be over the HTTP and the HTTPS. And these are the protocols which we are making use for authentication and the authorization. But in the local setup, in the on-prem setup, there will be Kerberos and NTLM protocols. And it is also including the federation services. So if you want to access to the third party services with the single sign-on, or you could use that federation services. So there is no organizational units or group policy objects, because if we are working on the on-prem Windows server, if we are working on the Active Directory, there is a concept of organizational units or a group policy objects. So actually, in order to provide the access to the resources, they will be using these concepts. But in the case of Microsoft Azure platform, this is a flat structure. So there is no hierarchy, there is no level of the hierarchy. Okay. Okay. Coming to this most important part, then we will be moving to the demonstrations. Apart from this subscription, right? Apart from this subscriptions, you also need the licenses as well. So license is also needed. Now, what kind of the license will be needed? So actually, there is a free tier account which you could create at any point of time. Then there is a Microsoft 365 applications license. Then there is a premium P1 and premium P2 license, right? In all that license, what we have to do? So in the free, we could create this much objects. In the Microsoft 365, it will be mostly used for the Microsoft 365 applications, for the Office applications, right? So, for example, you want to access to the Microsoft point sites, OneDrive, your Teams, your Gmails, your emails. So all that services will be provided with the help of this Microsoft 365 license only. Okay. Now coming to this premium P1 and P2 license. So what do you think? For example, you have taken a subscription, right? Free tier subscription. Now you have created your users, multiple users you have created. Are you able to give access to your multiple users, to your calendars, to your Teams, to your Gmail accounts, to your Outlook accounts? No, you will not be able to provide this. Why? Because until and unless you are not providing that services, you are not providing that license, they will not be able to access my Microsoft 365 application. So these licenses are must. Now, if you upgrade your to P1 or P2 license, so you could see that there is a difference. There is an additional functionality which you will be getting in the when you upgrade to the upper plan. So in the basic plan, you will be getting only these things: single sign-on, the core identity and access management services, and B2B collaboration. But now they have also removed this. Earlier it was a part, but now with your free tier account, you can't create this business to business tenant. With the Microsoft 365 applications, it is providing access, identity, and access management to Office 365 as well. And this is the only thing which they will be providing. But in the premium P1, could you see that it is providing you so many features? So, what are the features they are providing you? Premium features, hybrid identities, advanced group access, conditional access. Then, if you want to go for this identity protection and identity governance, that will be only added in this premium P2 license. Then you have to pay additional cost. You have to pay for this additional cost. Now, let me very quickly, I will be explaining what is this basic features and what are these premium features which was added in the P1 and P2. So actually, first, there is a self-service group management. Now, what is this self-service group management? It was added in the P1. It was added in the P1. Now, what it will do? It will simplify the administration of the groups. So, where users are having the rights to create and manage the groups. So, they can, on their own, they can create the groups. And users can request to join the other groups as well. And the group owners, they can approve the request, they can maintain the group's membership, they could do this. Now, the second one is they could also monitor, and protect the access to the cloud applications by looking at the detailed logs, and which exist in the dashboards, or which is providing some inconsistency. And they could also refer to this, they could also respond to the alerts if there are any alerts or potential threats which is happening. So they could also respond to this. Multi-factor authentication. Nowadays, everyone is using multi-factor authentication, even in the Gmail access, even in the Microsoft access. So you will be using multi-factor authentication. So apart from the basic login credentials, you could go for one additional part, one additional question. So they will be providing you some security codes on your mobile devices, on your Gmail IDs. So this is my multi-factor authentication, and nowadays by default it is enabled. So from last 1 year, it was already enabled for everyone. So before this, multi-factor authentication is your choice. You could enable or you could disable this, but now by default, it is enabled. Then it is also providing you the feature of Microsoft Identity Manager. Microsoft Identity Manager. This is also known as MIM. So what is this MIM is doing? Now, with the help of this license, you could provide the hybrid identity solutions. You could provide your hybrid identity solutions. So for example, there is already some identities are already there. So you could manage this, you could having the access. So you could bridge that on-prem authentication. So just like with this LDAP, okay, with this Active Directory domain services, and you could use this with other applications with this Microsoft Entra ID features. Now it is also providing you the SLA, service level agreement. So it is providing you the SLA of 99.9%. That means your uptime of the resources, uptime of the services will be 99.9%. So you could achieve this 99.9% of SLA only with the premium P1 or P2. Okay, this also allows you to password reset, self-service password reset, self-service password reset. The name itself indeed The name itself, it signifies what is the meaning of the self-service password reset. Now, suppose that you forget your password. So you could reset the password on your own. So it will remove the admin cost. Otherwise, admin overhead and admin task will be added. That will be an additional thing will be added here. And the last one is my conditional access. This is the most important topic. Conditional access. Conditional access is only provided with the P1 or the P2 license. Now, what will conditional access? For example, you want to configure the conditional access for your critical resources based on some criteria. For example, if the request is coming from some malicious IP address, you don't want to give the access to this request which is coming from this IP address. You don't want to allow the traffic which is coming, the request which is coming from some non-registered device. Okay, you don't want to give access to the particular clients or the applications. So you could access the control based on the signals which is coming. So you could also whitelist the locations as well. For example, I don't want to give access to the request to the users who are accessing my applications from the US region, from the Canada region. I don't want to give access. So you could define the rule here in the conditional access. In the conditional access, we could define the rules here, but it is only applicable in the premium P1 and P2 license. Now, coming back to this identity protection and identity governance. Now, this identity protection, what it will do? So it will enable the enhanced functionalities. So this will enable the enhanced functionalities for monitoring and protecting your user accounts. For monitoring and protecting your user accounts. So you could define your sign-in policies. For example, I don't want to give access the request coming from the malicious sign-in, or maybe it's prone to the attacks. I don't want to give this. You could create some policies, risk policies as well. So you just observe that you want to review the user's behavior and you want to flag the users for that risk. So all that things could be done in the identity protection only. So from the risky users, from the risky sign in, you could prevent that with the help of this identity protection. Now, identity management, there is one more thing which you could do. Privileged privileged identity management. Privileged identity management. Now, what this will do? This will be adding the additional security levels. Additional security levels for the privileged users such as admins. Such as admins. So admins, what is this privileged users? For example, who will be having the complete full access over the account, over all the resources. So they will be at the admin level, at the Microsoft Entra ID level, there would be global administrators. There could be co-administrators as well. So you could provide a maximum of only 5 co-coordinators, but global administrator will be having all the access and the control. Okay, so you could define some temporary administrators, but Microsoft doesn't recommend that. So you should keep a control with you only. If some person who's already serving as an admin and he's providing the rules and the responsibilities and now he's leaving the organization, in that case, he could provide that access, the global admin access to the next serving person. So you could define the policies, okay? In this privileged identity management, you could define the policies so that activates whenever someone wants to use the administrative policies, privileges to perform some task. Okay. So all that things will be done with the premium P1 and with the premium P2 licenses. Uh, okay, so what is this identity devices? Let me complete with this topic, and then we could directly go back to our Azure portal, and we could understand the different all the options which are added with this. Now, in this Microsoft Entra ID, I have already explained. So it is not responsible for only the users' identities, user authentication for the groups. No, it is responsible for the devices as well. It is responsible for the devices as well. Just let me give you some simple layman example. From your office devices, you are not able to access some third party applications. So all this is restricted. Even you are not able to access the YouTube or maybe some other channels, you are not able to access. So that will be something which is coming in the application gateway as well. We will also discuss all that things. Firewall is also coming in the picture. But let me give you some basic overview about the devices. So on your company devices, so how exactly they will be providing an identity? So first of all, there are different ways, there are different methods. Registered devices, do joint devices, and hybrid Microsoft Entra ID joint devices. Now, what is this registered devices? Registered devices is mostly referred to as workplace joint. Workplace joint. Now, what is this workplace joint? So they mostly refer on this BYOD. Bring your own device. Bring your own device. So now what they will do, they will ask you to bring your own personal accounts, personal devices. On that personal devices, they will register your personal device. For example, you are bringing your own personal laptop, and with your personal laptop, they will register with their Microsoft Entra ID. So they, with this, after registering, they are not fully managed by the organization, but some level of the trust and the organization access will be provided. So afterwards, as a user, you could sign into the device with the personal account, and then you could add your work or school account. You could add your work or your school account. So this is my registered devices, and it's having the control using the mobile device management like Microsoft Intune. So it is providing you the single sign-on. Single sign-on it will be providing you. Then conditional access is also there. Conditional access is also there. So there will be some, maybe administrator has set up some policies to evaluate your device platform or location. So for example, uh, maybe it is only providing the access from two locations, from your home location and from your office location. If you are taking, if your location gets changed, they will not be allowing to access the resources. They are not allowing to access the devices or the resources whatever you are hosted, the applications which you are hosted on your cloud. So that will be the conditional access. And there will also be some limited device management as well. So there will be some compliance checks as well. They will also be doing some compliance checks, and app protection policies could also be there. Okay. But in the joint devices, so if I give you the use case, for example, let me give you the use case. As an employee, you want to access your company Microsoft 365 email and documents from your personal laptop or your smartphone. Now, company wants to ensure that some level of the security should be there before giving that access policies. So what they could do, they will be registering your personal device, and it will require the multi-factor authentication as well. Okay, this could only be done when your device is already registered with your Microsoft Entra ID. The second scenario comes with the joint devices. Joint devices means they are actually they are actually directly managed by your organization only. This is completely managed by your organization. Now, for the big companies nowadays, for even for the startup, for the new companies as well, they are providing you the complete kit. They are providing you the complete kit. It's already pre-configured with all the tools and all the devices, whatever the tools, softwares you are required, that's already configured. So that are your joint devices. On the day one, on the boarding day, onboarding day, they are providing you their own laptops. So that are joint devices. Okay, so that are already configured with their own Microsoft Entra ID organization. So that will be acting as a centralized management. From the centralized, they will be managing everything. So even you could see that in the case of uh, the wallpapers get changed in your corporate laptops, in your office laptops. So how it get changed? Because the admin will be doing all that things for you. So whatever is there, it will be applicable to all the joint devices. And obviously, whatever the policies they have implemented, whatever the policies they have implemented in the Microsoft Entra ID, that is accessible. That is accessible to all the joint devices. Okay, so if I give you the simple example, so whenever I have already provided you, when the new startup that completely operates in the cloud. So with no on-prem servers, they provide their employees with the new laptops. Okay. Now these laptops are Microsoft Entra ID joined directly. They have already joined the directly. Now what the employees will do, they will be doing the sign-in process with the work accounts. So you are already signed in with your work accounts. Okay. And these devices are completely managed, automatically managed, and they are automatically enrolled in the Microsoft Intune for the complete management, for your software deployment, for your security policy enforcement. So this is completely managed by the IT administrators. So even on the day one, when you are receiving your kit and when the administrator will be having a call for the onboarding and providing you the complete information about the kit and how to access. So they will be asking you to first please install the Microsoft Intune for the organization portal. From the App Store, you will be installing. Then afterward, you will be registering your device. You will be installing your authenticator. So all that things will be a part of this Microsoft Entra ID joint devices. Then coming to this hybrid Azure Active Directory joint devices. Now they will be serving to both, like they are joined to the on-prem Active Directory domain server, and they will also be registered with this Azure Microsoft Entra ID. So they are connected with both that things. They are serving the hybrid environments. They are serving the hybrid environments. That was the purpose. Now, if I give you the use case, this is also conditional access is also applicable. MFA is also there. Single sign-on is also there. Now, in this case, just assume that there is a large enterprise. Okay, they will be having their on-prem Active Directory infrastructure with thousands of domain joined window PC. And now they are migrating some applications to the Azure and they are adopting the Microsoft 365 as well. So what they want to do, they want to maintain their existing on-prem management while giving the secure access to the cloud resources. So in that scenario, you could go with this hybrid Azure Active Directory or Microsoft Entra ID joint devices. So this is exactly in this scenarios, we could use that. We could use that. This is the self-service password reset, but this could be only done with the help of P1 or P2 license. Now, what it will do, you don't need your administrator. Okay, so as a user, you could reset your password. But this will be only done with the help of premium P1 and P2 license. Earlier we could do this, but nowadays Microsoft has changed all these policies. Now you will not be able to do this. It will be asking you what are the authentication methods. So you could provide, you want to authenticate through the email, through the mobile phone, through the office phone, through the security questions. So you could provide in this way as well. Okay, you have to configure all these things. So you could also configure this just like your MFA, multi-factor authentication. Okay, so we could provide this. Uh, okay, so let me come to this user account and then let's move to the Azure portal. Now, if you could see that in the user accounts, we could create multiple user accounts and we could provide the identities, right? We could provide the identities. Now, in this case, you just go to the Microsoft Enter ID, the user identity, you could create the new user. You could invite the new guest user as well, or maybe you want to invite this, you could want to put this in a B2B, business to business tenant. That will also work, but you could also invite your guest user. So for example, some vendors, some external partners, you could also do this. So all the users will be having some account at the time of authentication. It will be used, this user identity will be used, and they will also be having some additional properties. So for example, your job role, your contact number, all that things you could also provide this, which team in you are, you could provide all these details at the time of the configuration. So you could manage your user accounts only when you are a global administrator or a user administrator. So these are the level of the access. Tomorrow I will show you that with the help of RBAC rules. Now today it's not possible to show you, but tomorrow I will be explaining all that. Then you could set up your user profile, right? You could set up your user profile, your picture, your job, contact, and this is optional. It's not mandatory, it's not optional. And delete users, you could restore the users in 30 days. In 30 days, you could do this. The complete sign-in and the audit login information is available. Now, coming to the, you could also do the bulk account updates. So obviously, because we are not going to create, if we have to create 100 users, so are you going to create it manually one by one? No, you could download the CSV file template, just upload all the information, write all the information, and upload this CSV file. Now, by default, automatically, when you upload your CSV file, all these users will be created and that will be visible on the Azure portal. You could create your group accounts. You could create your group accounts. There are two type of the groups, right? So group is nothing. Group is a collection of your users. Group is a collection of your users or your members. Now, there are two type of the groups, security groups and Microsoft 365. Security groups will be providing the access control for your Azure resources, for your Azure resources. And you could assign the permissions, your RBAC rules, all that things you could do on the security group. So for example, I want to give access to the storage account. I want to give access to the virtual machines. So you could do with the help of security groups. So normally with the help of the security groups, I could control the access level and I could assign the permissions. So now, with the help of this Microsoft 365, earlier it was known as Office 365, now it was Microsoft 365. This is used for the Microsoft 365 applications where you want to provision, automatically you want to provision the resources, the shared resources like your mailbox, your SharePoint site, your Microsoft Teams channels, or your OneDrive, your OneNote, all that things you could do with the help of this Microsoft 365, your calendars. Okay, so that things you could do with the help of this. Now there are three types, assignment types. Manually you could create and assign. Manually you could create and assign members to the users. And the second one is on the dynamic user. So you could write the query. You could write the query, and this will dynamically add the users. So for example, I am saying that all the okay, so I could say that if the persons who is coming from the profile who is coming from the profile DevOps, automatically add to the DevOps team or DevOps group, automatically add this who is coming with this profile. Okay, dynamic device, the same thing, the same query you could also do for the devices as well. You could do for the devices as well. Okay, so you have to assign the licenses. We have already discussed premium P1 and P2 license. So only Microsoft Entra ID will be coming as a free service, but in the free service, there are some limitations. You can't create B2B tenant. You can't go for this identity governance, identity management, conditional access. All this only be done with the help of P1 and P2 license. And you want to give access to the Office 365 services, then obviously you will be requiring Office 365 Microsoft 365 services as well. Licenses you will be requiring. Please confirm, are we able to clear? Are we able to understand till point?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Can me one quick question from my
Yeah,
side.
please.
So
Please.
you have told me that we can write a queries to add the user to dynamic groups, right? So where we can
Yes.
write the
Yeah, that we can do. But P1 and P2 licenses are not with my subscription. But I will show you how to do this. I will show you.
okay.
Yes. Okay, now let's explore our Microsoft Entra ID. So this is my Microsoft Entra ID. Now in this Microsoft Entra ID, first of all, in the overview, we are able to see this, the basic information I was able to see. Now, if you go to the very basic thing, users, it is showing me all the users which are already existing in my account, in my tenant. Let me go back to this, show you the number of the groups. So I have created this much number of the groups. Okay, so all these groups are there. It's showing me the group type security and the membership type assigned. Assigned means manual. So all these are the groups are created. Now coming back to this, I will show you, I will be demonstrating each and everything how to do this from the scratch. And all these are the applications. So the applications which are already owned by me. So all these applications I have registered with my Microsoft Entra ID. So all these applications are there we have created. Now let's explore the options in the manage section. So you have to understand this manage. Okay, just click on this and explore. Now it will be expanding. First of all, click on the users. This is the very basic part. Okay. Now in the users, when you click on the user, so you could create a new user. You could invite the external user for the collaboration. This is mostly used in the case of the vendors when you want to collaborate with the partners. So how to create a user? Simple. You could provide the name. So let me take the name from the participant list itself, Sarfraz. Okay. Now, just look at this. It's creating the user, but that user will be only created at this domain. I have this is the default domain which Microsoft has provided to me. And this is the domain actually I have created on the GoDaddy. So that was the registered domain, but now it has expired. I need to renew this. I will be doing this at the time of DNS service. I will be showing you. But this is the domain which I have already registered. Just forget this at this point of time. So by default, whatever the users will be creating, that is providing the default domain. This is the default domain for my tenant, my default domain. Now, nickname, you could also do this. If you want to add it, you could add this, but I am just enabling this option. Display name, I want to provide the same name as the display. Now, password, it has already provided this password. You could reset your password. This is the auto-generated password. So let me write this password somewhere because later on when you go to this account, they will ask you to reset the password. So that was a mandatory prompt. So I will change that password at that time. Account enable. So it will enable the account for this user. Now coming to this assignments, to this properties, you could add this. This is an optional thing. You could add this. I'm skipping this part. You could add the first name, last name. You could add the user type. Now, what is the user type? I just want to create the member. This is not a guest user. This is a member user. You want to add some more information, job title, company name. No, I don't want to add anything, but you could add this contact information, your business code, your country code. And let me show you. For example, on the basis of the city, you could also write your dynamic queries. For example, I'm writing the, maybe just assume that your company, your organization is having uh, different branches, or they are having the different office in the different cities, so they are having the setup in the different cities. Now they will be having some headquarters in the one main location and some other branches in the other cities. So I could write the query that the person who will be joining in the Bangalore region, so they will be added to the Bangalore group, they will be adding to the Bangalore teams. In this way, you could write your dynamic queries. You could write your dynamic queries. So for example, if the person who is belonging from the IT department, please add me to the IT group. So all these dynamic queries, you could write this. I will show you at the time of creating the groups. Next, assignments. You want to add this member as a part of the group. I don't want to add this right now. I don't want to add the role because we have not discussed these roles right now. Now, this is all the information for your user. So it has created this user. You could see that the user type is member, and this is not on-prem sync. So what is this on-prem sync? On-prem sync is not enabled. This is only for the hybrid scenarios. Okay. So with the help of Microsoft Entra ID Connect, you could sync your on-prem identities with your cloud providers. You want to go for the bulk operations, you could also do this. Just simply bulk create and download this CSV template. So once you download this CSV template, Now in this CSV template, if you look at this, it's providing me the complete all the details. Whatever I was able to see on my portal, first of all, what is the display name, the username, the password, initial password, the block sign in, the first name, the last name, everything, whatever we have provisioned at the time of creation of the user, all that details you have to provide it here. For example, I want to create a user with the name Tanvi. Okay, I want to create the username, right? So you could fill up all this information here. You could provide all this information and then upload on the portal. So this is quite simple. You could add this, save this, and just upload your CSV file. That's all. So once you upload this CSV file and click on the submit, it will do the bulk operation. It will import the all the users in one single go. So this is my bulk creation users. You could also do the bulk invitations, bulk deletions as well. Now coming to the inviting an external user. So anyone could provide me the email ID. Anyone from the participants, could you provide me your email ID?
So I'm writing here. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. So I'm just providing this email, display name, this your name, sending the invite message, invitation message. You could also put in the CCP, some recipient, and this is the redirect URL. This will be the properties. I'm not adding this. By default, the user type, it has taken guest, and I'm not adding all other information. Right now, I don't want to assign to any groups, just invite. So if I do the refresh, somewhere I will be able to see that. Yeah, this. Now the type will be the guest user. You might be received one invite. So once
Yes.
you have to yeah, you have to accept yes and no, okay, for the invitation. So but it will be added in my directory. Now once you add this, once you click on this update yes or no, based on this I could provide the access to the resources. So I could add access to the resources. I will be giving the demonstrations tomorrow how to access, how to provide the level of the access. But in this way, you could add the users. Now, coming back to this, these are the multiple things which you could do, but I will come back to this. Let me cover the basics part, then I will come back to this. RBAC roles, I will be covering it tomorrow because this is a separate topic. But you could see that for my own account, I will be global administrator. So global administrator is a you could say that this will be the privileged access. So I could provide the resources, I could control the level of the access authorization and authentication also I could control this. So I will be a global administrator. So by default, when you are creating your own account, you will be the global administrator. You will be the owners for your own personal account. For your corporate account, I'm not talking about. If you are getting some user account for your corporate Microsoft Azure portal, so that will be some restriction. Okay, so they have not provided the access to their default directory. So maybe you are having the contributor role, you will be having the reader role for the different resources. So I'm just talking about my own personal account. So all these are the privileged roles which are required, and Microsoft by default, all these privileged roles will be provided to the owner. These roles are already provided. This application devices, app registrations, I will be taking up all these topics at the time of when we will come to the app management. So at the time of the app management, I will show you this app registrations and all that. First of all, I just want to show you the license part because see, right now, if I show you in my default directory, could you see that in the license, it's providing me the free. And we have already seen that in the free, I do have some restrictions. I do have some restrictions. So earlier, for MSTN subscription for MCT trainers, all these restrictions was not there. But I told you now Microsoft has provided up so many restrictions. They have updated so many features. Earlier, we were supposed to use all these features, but nowadays we can't do this because due to the updations in the Microsoft policies. Now, if I show you the license, let me go back to the license one more time. So I could explore this options. You could see that this is single sign-on was my for me for it was there. I could create this much objects, right? And federation protocol, this was there. User management is there. Group management is there. Self password service. Okay, but other things were not there. Other things was not there. So for this multi-factor authentication, it is asking me try this Microsoft Entra ID P1 or P2 license because I can't do this. And the trial per if you are creating your account for the first time, Microsoft will give you the 30 days of the trial account duration. For first 30 days, you could use the features with for the P1 and the P2 license functionalities, you could use that. So group access management, multi-factor authentication, password protection. Now you could see that all this advanced enhanced functionalities, it's self-service password reset. I could not use this because already I have used this trial duration. So even identity protection, conditional access, all these I was not able to do this privileged identity management. Even if I click on this, let me show you for the self password reset. Now it's asking me for the free trial. Even if I click on the free trial and click on the activate, so it's asking me to create one more account, one more trial account for the 1 month because for the same existing account, they will not allow. This will be only applicable for first 30 days. And even if I am creating this account, this will be only activated for first month of the trial. So at any point of the time, you could buy the license. Just go to the all products. And now even I was not able to do. With my subscription, I was not able to do. With pay as you go subscription, you can do this. Or if you are using that trial account for the first 30 days, with that services, you could also activate your license. Uh, Let me explore the other options. Coming to the group. Now in the groups, you could see that there are different type of the groups, dynamic groups, Microsoft 365 groups, security groups. Nowadays, they have also added this cloud groups. So whatever the security groups are there, automatically they will be adding to this cloud groups. On-premises group, I don't have any on-prem group. So how to create a group? You could add, click on this. So this is the type. There are two types, security and Microsoft 365. So I want to give the access to the Azure resources. So always go with the Office with the security group type only. Microsoft Office 365 is only for Microsoft 365 admin. provide the group name. So you could provide, for example, I'm providing this training. Let me provide this group name training. Someone has already provided this name. It should be unique. It should be unique always. Coming to the description, you could go with the description. Now, membership, could you see that this option is grayed out for me? I was not able to expand this option. I can't even see that options because dynamic group membership you can see only with the help of P1 and P2 license, but earlier it was not like that. Earlier with this MSDN subscription, we are supposed to do so many things, but now Microsoft has made so many changes with the subscriptions. Now you want to add the owners, you want to add the members. So for example, I want to add the member. You could search for the members. So this is the member, Sarfraz, I'm adding this, or maybe you could add multiple members to this. Let me add this Akshay as well. Select. You want to create some users, you could also create the users as well. So now the group has been created. The group has been created. You can't see the number here updation, so it will take some time just to refresh here. That's all. Now this number has been updated. So if you click on this total group number, then I will be able to see the team of this DevOps. This group has been created. This group has been created. Now you could do multiple operations you want to manage. You want to create new group, download the groups, all that things you could do this. Whatever the deleted groups. So after 30 days, groups are permanently deleted. I told you in the case of the users as well, you could restore only within the 30 days. After 30 days, it is not, it will be originally deletion will be there. Now let me show you how you could use the dynamic queries and all that in the case of so actually Microsoft is providing some labs. So where they will be providing you the complete simulation. This is the labs from Microsoft. You could also follow this, but I'm just looking for the link where they will be providing you the interactive lab simulations. So I think they have deleted this. Let me look into this. And see, it is a complete Microsoft GitHub repository. It's completely the scenario based. So I recommend everyone to please complete this labs with your free tier account. This is an additional exercise. It's not a part of our, it's not mandatory thing. Just only for your additional knowledge, you could do all these exercises. We will be covering all these topics. I will be showing you each and everything. But apart from this, if you want to go with some scenario labs, you could go with this link. You could go with this link. Let me also write it somewhere. And even if you are planning to write your exam, Microsoft AZ104 exam, then these labs are very important. So sometimes scenario based questions they will be asking from these labs only. So how to access? Just go to the lab number 1 and lab number 1. They are providing you everything. Estimated timings, your scenario. So what exactly you are going to do? What is your architecture diagram? How to follow the step by step. So it will be giving you some more exposure, some more hands-on. Okay, so you could follow this as well. Now, actually, I was looking for that interactive labs. where they will be providing you all the simulations for these features which are not available with your free tier account. So whatever with the P1 and P2 license, you could go with this simulation labs. Okay, so maybe tomorrow I could provide this URL to you. And we will explore some more features of this default directory. So tomorrow we will be understanding some more features because already this time is up. I have already taken some additional time. Any questions here?
Yeah, yes, Tanvi. So you have told us that when we are trying to create the user account, we'll be getting the domain as on Microsoft.com, something like, right? So when you created now, it's adding your name as well, right? Before the domain. So why it's happening?
Yeah, because this is my default directory. Whenever Microsoft account will be created, your default directory will be created, your tenant will be created. So if I go to my overview, so this is my primary domain. So every time, whenever you will be creating the users, that will be created in your domain only. That will be created in your default directory, in your default tenant only. So that is the reason. That is the reason.
Okay.
So by default, it is representing my one organization who has created that account. So although this is my personal account, this is my individual account as a user, but I am a owner for this. So by default, it will be taking that, it will be considering this as my organization account. So, for example, when one organization is setting up the account, for example, Paperlife. Now, Paperlife, they will be having the domain. Okay, so they will be having some custom domain, some Gmail ID, some ID dot paperlife.com, but they have to register that paperlife.com from the domain registrar. Then afterwards, whatever the users will be created, that will be created with the domain like user1.paperlife.com, user2.paperlife.com. So it will be automatically taking that domain only.
Yeah, got it, Tanvi. So, and
Mhm.
also coming to the groups, you showed us that security groups and cloud groups, right? Both are
Yes,
similar, or is there any
yes,
difference?
Office 365. Uh, yes, Sarfraz. So
Yes, we
Sarfraz,
have.
actually, yeah, please complete. Yes.
Yeah, we have seen about the groups, right? Security groups and
Hmm.
cloud groups. So, is there any difference between them?
Yeah, there is a difference. Security groups will be mostly used for accessing the control and the policies to the Azure resources. So it will be related to your Azure portal only. But Microsoft Office 365 will be having, they will be binding the access and the control to the Office 365 application, Microsoft 365 applications, like your Drive, your Teams, your Outlook, all that.
Sorry, Tanvi. I have asked about cloud groups, not the Microsoft 365.
Mhm. Cloud groups are also the same. Cloud groups is also because if I go back to this, okay, I was already at this. So cloud groups, they are also adding, this is the recent addition. So earlier it was not there. Now they have added the cloud groups. So even if you could see that whatever the groups, I need to confirm it once because this is the recent one. But I hope so. This is the combination of both. I need to check on this part, but this number is same, security groups and the cloud groups. So let me just click on this. It has provided me each and every group on the cloud categories. So exact difference between the cloud groups and the security groups, I need to check because this is the recent edition. Earlier it was not there.
Okay, Tanvi, no issues.
Hmm.
Yeah, and also if I we have saw about the authentication, right? Like EMS Federation, WS Federation, those kind of things. So if I want to learn more about that, is there any documentation available in Microsoft?
Yeah, it's in the Microsoft. They will be having documentation. So let me provide you Microsoft Entra ID authentication. This is one of the URL, but I could also share some other documents, for the detailed working. Let me also share it. Just give me a moment. You want to look at this protocols and all that. Somewhere it's there.
This account is chargeable, right?
No. If you are creating free tier account, nothing, no charges will be there. For the 1 year, it will not be charging anything.
Okay.
Tanvi, if it is available in online, I can check that, Tanvi. No issues. So you
Yeah,
can go
no
out with
problem. Just
others.
give me
Other,
only one more. Just give me only one.
yeah.
So, better than this, I should provide you the training curriculum. In the training curriculum, it's everything is there. So, if you go back to this, it's providing you the detailed description here. The link already yesterday also I have provided. So, if you could go to this managed identities, in the managed identities, everything is there. So it's providing you all the complete description. What is the difference? What are the protocols? It's providing you everything. So let me share this URL. Okay, so any other questions, please? So I recommend everyone to please always go through this URL. So this is a kind of self-paced learning for everyone. Okay, so that's all for the day. If you don't have any questions, we could close our session. Thank you so much for your active participation. Please just stay on the call. I'm so sorry I missed to launch the poll. Yeah, definitely. I will be providing you each and everything. Just give me tomorrow. I will provide all the customized labs. I have prepared each and everything. I will be sharing with all of tomorrow. I will provide. Please stay on the call. I will be launching the poll. And thank you so much for your valuable feedback. Yesterday, I was going through the feedback. Thank you so much for your feedbacks. So it really helps and it really matters to our team. And obviously, it is giving motivation to the trainers to give their best. So tomorrow we will be completing this Microsoft Entra ID. We will be discussing the Cloud Shell. We will be discussing the commands for the portal and PowerShell commands. Then we will be looking at ARM templates. I'm planning to give it after some time. Yeah, we will start with the virtual machine with the computing service as well. Okay, thank you so much. I could see that the people have responded. Thank you so much for your responses.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Thanks, Tanvi.
Yeah, thanks everyone. Yeah, bye everyone. Have a nice day.